today.
Oh, did you?
Well,
So it's okay to sign?
no, this has gone to him. I read it to him on the phone.
Okay.
He doesn't have computer or fax, so Cindy gave it to him, so he'll get back to us. But this is the
okay.
work in progress.
Okay.
There were 2 minor things that Joyce pointed out that were really good.
Yeah.
So I added those, so it'll go.
Back and forth, okay.
But there was nothing in there that he objected to.
It's here to be signed.
Mostly what I added was,
Well, you don't mind.
I tried to put it all in red. Green was a comment.
Okay, Pat, you open the meeting now.
Yep.
You hammerhead.
We'll open this meeting of January 31st, 2013. Let the record show that Joe Jessman's not here. He's on his way. He's just getting out of a consortium meeting. Okay. We have the minutes. Before we go into the minutes, I want to tell you about a conversation I just had with Senator Hosmer. Called me, and he had a meeting with Commissioner Clements and Senator Forrester and on Clark Road in Colby. Representative Ian Raymond had successfully taken some photographs that portrayed the damage to the road successfully and images to their eyes, for sure. One of the points that Senator Hosmer and Senator Forrester brought home to them was it didn't matter what the budget was and what the deficit in funding was for transportation. This is now a safety issue. It's not anything to do with maintenance. So the first thing they committed to doing was to get back to, Chief, you'll have to fill in the blanks if I forget, that they committed to do was that they would check with District 3, Mark Morrill, to find out if any summer maintenance had been done over the last few years, which we know has not.
Right.
If none has been done, that they will start immediately, ASAP, in trying to clear the, prioritize the areas for culvert clearing and drainage and trees and brushes and so on. Having said that, he also made a commitment to Senator Hosmer and Senator Forrester to meet with Mark Morrill and walk the Califf Hill Road, Clark, and Colby, and Senator Hosmer will let us know the date and time that that's going to take place, and ask that if any of the selectmen want to be present at that time, we will join them. Anything in addition to that, Chief?
No, I mean, when we get out of the meeting, he was going to have Mark Morrill start on it this afternoon where it was warm and dry, and he thought it would be a good time for them to actually go look at the culvert today and immediately start to do anything they could to, I'll say, mitigate the problem until they could really do some more serious work in the summertime.
Okay.
But he took it real serious.
Okay. So it sounds like we made the right choices in
Yeah, different meeting.
getting help from the senators and representatives.
Good.
There's another thing he could report from that meeting.
Well, it wasn't today, but it was another meeting with Bill Lambert.
Okay.
And he's working aggressively on lowering our speed limit downtown. And he came out last week and went downtown with Merrick to look at speeds, and he agrees with us. So right now I think he's drafting for his bosses kind of a template so that if future towns make a request, these are the things that those towns need to identify. But he felt comfortable that we're going to be able to lower it, to 25. And he said that he knows of no other town has ever done this before. We'll be the first one, so. But that's making progress.
Yep.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Let's do the minutes of January.
Couldn't find them. I'll just make a copy of them. I mean, I read them, but I can't find my copy.
I make a motion, we bring the minutes of January 24th, 2013 to the floor for discussion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hey, Joe.
How are you?
Good. We're just doing minutes. Ah, got it. More. Man after my own heart.
Oh, yeah. Coconut, caramel, and marshmallow.
Love it. Are there any corrections, concerns, or... I did see a typo here.
You can delete those. You can delete those.
Come on.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of January 24th, 2013 as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, selectmen's reports. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
The one thing I have today to bring up is the consortium negotiations with MetroCast. I've sent you all copies of the last proposal dated the 28th, I believe, of January. We made some small revisions to that today, and there were some things MetroCast objected to and some things we objected to, and we got a lot of that straightened out. But the one main issue that needs to have some clarification is the public access segment of the contract. The funding for it, the business model. Some of it was done in non-public, and because it was, I can't discuss it, but the major thrust of it is that we get, maybe I should wait and do this in non-public, because it is a contract negotiation, huh?
Right.
Okay, I had a meeting of the consortium today. I'll talk about it later. Before I say anything that was non-public.
Okay. All right,
I'm good for this week.
all right. Catherine? She has a very long list.
Oh, that's not that bad. I touched on it the other day when we met at the meeting I went to Tuesday night in Bridgewater, for Lakes Region Planning Commission. They had the lawyer who represents the New Hampshire Site Evaluation Committee that was formed as a result of RSA 162H, which essentially takes any responsibility or whatever from the local communities of site planning renewable energy sources in their communities. It reduces us to only have the ability to attend a public meeting and give them our comment on it. We have no control. It's a 15-member panel, but they have the authority to reduce themselves down to a 7-member panel, which means the majority of that would be 4 people deciding whether or not you'd have a biomass plant or
Windmills on the hills?
or whatever.
Right.
Whatever the renewable energy resource was. It was a very interesting meeting full of very angry people who were about to get a wind turbine farm up on their very scenic ridge in Groton and Bridgewater, those communities. I mean, it's a beautiful area. I mean, right now you look up and there's a wind farm up on the ridge. In Coas County, they put 30 turbines up there. 30 turbines. They allowed them to put a road 30 miles into a wilderness area, untouched by development. Not a bit of this energy that's being produced so far is being utilized by any New Hampshire residents. These are huge companies doing this, and they're selling the electricity out of state. There's no provision in the law for that.
Yeah. So we have to deal with all the destruction and the noise and the ugliness to our, but we don't get
Well,
advantage.
you know, New Hampshire is the tourist state. We all know this. We depend on tourist dollars. What tourists is, I mean, we're going to become the tourists going to the Berkshires and Massachusetts to get away from the ugliness. I mean, who's going to want to come here to go up into pristine wilderness and look at wind turbines and smell biomass plants?
Yes.
Have you been up to Plymouth?
Yep.
They've got at least 20 giant wind turbines up on the hill where the ski area used to be, and
Yep.
The project's almost completed.
they're all spinning around, and it's kind of like art, but it's certainly not the scenic mountains that it was started out as. It's very disturbing,
So-
actually.
My feeling is we need to talk to our representatives. The communities definitely need to have more than just a public hearing input session with this committee. We need to have some say.
Yep.
There is an, so Lakes Region, I think Lakes Region Planning wrote a draft, well, here it is. It's a model of a town ordinance you could write, but it's,
What good does it do you if they're not going to listen to you?
well, yeah, but the draft model doesn't deny it. I mean, it grants them everything anyway. Your only control is you can't have it more than 150 feet high. You can't even tell them where to put it in relationship to a building.
Ooh.
What about the fact that we already have, like for our cell towers, the fall zones and everything?
Nope, it specifically says in the RSA, regardless of what we have in our existing zoning.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there is no representation here on the local level. I don't know who sponsored the bill, or who wrote the zoning. That is all they could write because of the law. That's all they could write. They tried to write it to give the community something, but when you read it, you realize you really have nothing. We have to find out who sponsored the bill. I'd like to know how our representatives voted on it.
I'd like to know, too.
And I think we need to contact our representative and say, look, this can't stand. We have to do something.
You know, it's even like with cell towers, you cannot deny cell towers coming in, but you do have a say in where they go and, you know, whether or not they're endangering any of the properties around them, you know, and we created an ordinance that would control as far as the safety aspect for people and stuff. So, you know, although we can't say, no, you can't bring your cell tower in here, we can't say that, but we can say, we have to let you in, but you're going to have to abide by certain safety regulations, and these are what they are.
We have none of that control. If we had a school on a hill, and they wanted to put those wind turbines up there, we'd have no say as to the location. None.
But you know, I guess what really gets to me is New Hampshire really isn't the kind of a state that you would think wind turbines, I can think of a lot of areas where they could go where there's a lot more wind that would run these things.
Well, except, you know, we do have the tallest mountain on the East Coast. I mean, we do have height.
Yeah.
And we do have, it's like Mount Monadnock down in the southern part of the state. That's a huge height. Low areas all the way around it. I mean, the distance you can see from that is huge.
Are they putting them up on Mount Monadnock?
They've got them down in Temple, Antrim, Groton, Cohos, there's a couple others. They have, the question was asked, how many of these applications have been denied since the committee was formed? And the answer was 0.
Right.
That's because they're benefiting from them. Why not? So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, I think they're under the false illusion that the state of New Hampshire and its residents are benefiting from them, and we're not.
Right.
I mean, the communities will get large sums of money up front for different fees, but does that make up for eventually the lack of tourism?
Right.
When we're all looking for jobs someplace because there aren't very many here?
And what
And when our
happened?
property values have been reduced because, you know,
And your children can't live in the town?
yeah.
Right.
The one thing I can see this would do, and this is being kind of a smart alecky answer, but it's going to do away with all those view taxes, isn't it?
That's one way to look at it. Well, the other thing that is amazing too, as I was sitting there listening to the conversation, there is no statewide planning, pre-planning for this. There's no one out there that says, okay, you know, if we put these towers on this ridge, we probably shouldn't put them here because of
Right.
views or whatever. There's no planning. None. Nobody's got a scope of work for this.
Wow.
The other's just an FYI. We'll have estimates for snow dump. The stage office work behind me. 2 of the contractors were here to look at ingress and egress that was suggested we should have. That should be coming. And tomorrow, glass company is coming in. When I was looking through the estimates that were prepared for her counter work to
Right.
more protect them, the schematic that they have isn't anything like what's actually down there. So I wanted to make sure that they came in, this is what we need, and he confirmed that, yes, this is the amount. I gave you all a copy of the Birch Hill Kennel contract that I altered. I talked to Don on the phone yesterday, went over a lot of it with him. He didn't have any objections. We had a lot of conversation about it. Cindy gave him a copy of it yesterday because he wasn't able to get it electronically. So I'm just waiting for him to come back with his comments. I'm sure once he reads it, I can't imagine that he's going to say, yep, everything's good. I think he's going to have a couple of comments. Especially in the back, number 8, the notifying part of it, he has responsibility to actually post a notice. When a dog is impounded on his property, he has to post a notice of as much as he can, if it has a tag, the breed, the color, identifying marks, etc. So if you'll see that I added in there that he will also supply us with that notice so that we can put it on the website and the police department can have a copy of it.
Right.
When I talked to him a year ago about this, one of the problems is the law does not allow just anyone, well, very few people can have access to the licensing information. So even though he may get a dog with a license on it, he has no way of taking that license unless town hall is open and finding out whose dog it belongs to. In fact, if he calls in and says, I have a dog license number such and such, they can't legally give him the information. They can say, okay, we'll take note of that.
Even if they're under contract by the town?
Yep. Only the town, the law, well, interesting you should ask that question.
The police
Because I've
can.
been pondering that. The police can have it.
Yeah.
The Board of Selectmen can have, I left the law over there, can have the information because we're a subdivision of the state, and that's how it reads.
But if we
The
contract
subdivision
them,
of the
they're a
state.
subdivision
If
of
we-
us.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If we subcontract him
Right.
to do this work for us,
Yep.
then I think we can authorize
Right.
him, but we'd have to clear that up with local government.
He becomes our agent, or
Years ago, when I
designee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. We'll have to clear it up with local government center.
Right.
So,
I think that may be the case, Catherine, because I used to be a dog officer when I was a kid, and I'm in my town, and we had to contract services with a kennel outside of the town, wasn't in our town. We had to contract services, and they had a right to notify the, we had actually two. One was actually in East Derry, and one was in East Hampstead. So there were two, and they had access via back and forth, the licenses. You know, hey, I've got this license, and they would call town hall and say, and then they would say who it was, and they could collect the fee from them for so many days or so many, on a weekend or something, they would have to notify the police. Police had the information, they could go to the home and
yeah.
notify.
I mean, we don't seem to have too much problem with dogs, cats. It's dogs, cats, and ferrets that have to be vaccinated for rabies.
A lot of laws have changed since I was, that was,
But,
I was 18 years old then, I'm not 18 now.
One
A
of
lot
the-
of laws have changed.
One of the problems I had with the contract was it said, and it was number 8, owners of all animals with identification. There really wasn't anything about dogs without identification, and as we all know, most dogs that slip their run don't have a collar. So,
Right.
I think we should make more of an effort, though, to make
too.
make the town aware of that we do contract with Birch Hill, and that if you're on a weekend and the dog slips a collar and whatever, we can make a friendly call to Birch Hill. They can make a friendly call to Birch Hill and say, you know, I've lost my dog. He's such and such, you know, height, weight, you know. I have the, you know, Cairn Terrier, red, 20 pounds.
well, there's also the issue of, I mean,
Friendly.
there's a certain amount of time, like I don't think he's open on Sundays, and I think he might only be open a couple hours on Saturday, if at all. So if you lose your dog Friday night, you're going to be paying $18 for Saturday, $18 for Sunday, and you might get him back on Monday.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think we just need more communication. I talked to Tim about, you know, getting it on the website. So people would know, word of mouth. And that's that.
Now, if a dog gets lost on the weekend, if he's not open, where do they take the dog? If
The police are set up so they can get into the kennel. And
Oh, okay.
There's a drop-off point. They arrange that. Today.
Take him home for the weekend.
Also, repeaters, our police officers are repeat offenders.
Yeah.
They just take them to their owners. I think
Yeah.
that's cute. Today I went to Lakes Region Planning Commission's Route 140 corridor study. It's nearing its conclusion. The deadline for completion is in April, and we're on task. they will, Lakes Region Planning will now compile all the data and information that we've gathered into a booklet form, and they'll be presenting it to all the boards of selectmen in the communities along the corridor. That's it. Good. Spoke my piece.
I just have a couple of real quick items. I was, in contemplating what we're trying to do with the room up here for space and configuration for renovation, would it be possible to try to consider maybe having some plugs put down here so that we can plug our computers in and we don't have to have these big orange
Or to disappear.
I'm sure.
cords that we have to keep finding each week to
When I
plug in our equipment?
had the contractors coming in looking at ingress and egress, the secondary ingress and egress from the stage,
Yeah.
over there through that closet, it could be done, but it'd be very costly. They took the doorway off here in the stage and went in there. Boy, and I'll tell you, there's some cold air that comes out of there. I don't know where we're losing it, but wow. There's an I-beam, huge I-beam, wooden one that goes straight across the top of here, which is supporting the stage. And there are pipes and electrical that run all along here in there. So they're proposing that white area that comes off from the lift, what that is doing is covering the doorway that used to be the ingress and egress, and the stairs in there, just uncovering that, trimming it out, and then that would be the ingress and egress, and they'd put a door up above. So to answer your question, I don't see why not, because while they're doing the work, the electrical is here. They've seen it.
But I'm just wondering if we could accommodate it in that box up there.
Oh,
That's the issue.
There's a lot more room in there for more breakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up there?
So
You could put, I think there's at least 4 more slots
In that old box?
in that box.
So for one, I don't know how everybody
need
else
one.
feels. Can we add that
Talk
to
to
the
the
list
code
if
guy.
we, is that the consensus?
I'd love to have a plug over here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think if we do any kind of presentation or anything, we need a plug up in this area that works. The one down there doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Saves energy.
Because the price we're getting is really just a budget budget price for town meeting. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty, we'll have to write an RFP, so I just made a note. So, and if you guys think of anything else that should be in that contract for Birchill Clinics, please let me know.
Okay.
I'll add it.
Last night, I had the opportunity of going up to the senior center for the music, and the senior committee is now serving hot dogs as a fundraiser before the meeting, before the music. And we were out in the kitchen, and one of our committee members had scraped her arm or something, and we didn't have a Band-Aid. There's no first aid kit up there. And I was just wondering if, being a municipal building, if we couldn't get a first aid kit of some
Is that
sort.
not a requirement, Joyce? First aid kit in all municipal buildings?
Buildings, that I'm not aware of. I know that in our safety policy, we require wherever there's employees, that we have to have a first aid kit, and then where it's located, and we have a whole safety policy they sign off on. But in terms of general building,
That's a good point. We don't have employees up there.
What is,
If it's not a requirement, then, yeah, I mean, should our committee pick one up? I mean,
what's one cost, like $20?
I have no
common
idea.
sense
Is
to
that
have
small
one
safety
there.
kit?
They range from here to,
You only need a small one.
I don't think you need snake bite and
No.
Band-Aids
So-
and some antiseptic.
Can you just see how much a small one is then, and we
Yeah.
can pick it up?
Buy
with it?
one. Take that and buy one.
I would agree. I think they,
Seriously.
We have some money for
just
one,
got a donation, the Life Safety Committee for first aid kit.
not the Life Safety Committee,
I mean, the
Chat Committee,
chat committee.
Senior Committee, all right. Thank you. Joyce, you're going to go over the the water freezing up at the Grange in your report, okay? Other than that, I think my report's done.
I'm going to skip this week.
Okay.
Give a more extensive one next week.
Okay, great. So Joyce, you're up. Moving right along. I've told you, our public
I'm
hearing's going to be
talking, let's run it.
5:30 instead of 6.
Let's run it.
I walked in the house last week just before, it was so early.
Oh, you done a good job, Joyce, go back.
Are you sick? And I said, no, I'm not sick. He said, you quit? And I said, no, I didn't quit. We had a short meeting. He says, you're never home at this time.
I had requested a non-public session at the end of our meeting. There's some correspondence to be read.
Yep.
And I also just want to remind the board that next Monday,
What time we meeting?
8:30 in Concord.
Do they expect,
I think-
how long do they expect it to be?
I think they've reserved their room from 9 to 12.
No,
I'll also make arrangements tomorrow to find out exactly where you can park down there.
Are we gonna have the town car
Yeah.
available?
Gotta grab it first.
First come, first serve.
No, we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, we are, again.
You coming from home?
We're talking about that today.
We'll go right down.
Non-public.
Okay.
Don't worry about parking.
Yeah, but I come work after.
I'll drop you.
There-
I can drop
So,
you to Joe's.
I have an appointment at 2:30 in the afternoon. Should I rearrange to try to make that to another day, or?
See, so
I think
maybe on
we
it.
can-
I'll be fine with that, okay.
To get better.
All right, so 8:30
Breakfast.
in Concord, and you're going to go over what we need to,
Yes.
okay.
There's,
I've got it right here, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
I'm almost done with the transcribing the minutes of January 10th.
I don't believe you.
Well, I'm up to 11 pages so far, and I'm really trying to
Crunch it?
crunch it.
All right.
What was January 10th?
That was when we had our public meeting, so I wanted to make sure that for all the comments, like you read those things into, which was no problem, I just cut and paste that in, but I want to make sure that everybody
What
that
was the public
spoke
meeting?
on Caleb Hill, and
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
want to
that
make
was
sure that I do
huge.
them
Wow.
justice, because we're going to use that information.
Yeah.
That's a public
Right.
document
Yes.
that's going to go,
Right.
so
Thank you. Yep,
that's what that's about.
with the senators, yep.
Okay, do you want to do warrant articles first, and then I can do all my other little things? Okay. You should have a copy in your... Only because I'm just anxious to get something together so that we can send it to the, I don't know, how do you want to do that? The budget, the deadline is the 5th, and they're meeting Wednesday, but I thought if we could at least email them what we have, so that they're not getting everything at a public hearing.
Right,
Oh, wait, no, they're meeting the week before.
right,
The public hearing's not until the 12th.
that's correct.
Never mind, we have time. Okay,
Public hearing's the 13th, right?
13th. It's right here. And then the deadline is the 5th.
Final public is the
And then I've got
13th.
Wednesday, February 6th, they want to review the warrant articles.
Yep.
So I'd just like to have some opportunity to at least get these vetted.
But they only need moneyed ones.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so now I can't find my,
so 15,000 for the Island Park,
hold on, let me find my, here we go. I wanted to bring you up to date on my discussions with some people, some residents of Northfield. And also, I did speak to a member of their budget committee. The impression I was left with, and these are trustworthy people whose opinions I respect, that, number one, most of the people in Northfield don't even know that they own half the island. And the second thing is that right now, with their financial situation, because there was just an update, and they have a $28 per thousand
They're gonna have to.
Damn.
tax rate, they're very, they're just slice and dice. So it just, I would have a very difficult time trying to get support for people to get up and speak to this, whether it was a petition warrant article or not, since the selectmen and the budget committee would be opposed. so I didn't pursue that any further. I'll be more than happy to,
I don't think you're
I'm
gonna-
sure out of courtesy, they will go ahead and put one on their warrant. But chances are, it won't be recommended by either body.
Why would we be putting this on our warrant?
No.
We
Theirs.
could request that they, why are we putting it on ours?
Because we know something has been done, and we've already talked about
Right.
going through the process of owning the island by ourselves and not jointly.
So we want to do the
So,
study
you know,
ourselves, see how much it's gonna
yeah.
cost.
Okay.
Somebody's gotta take the initiative.
yeah, and I think we should do that without having them take any action, because I'm worried about the action they might take
Right.
from the emails I've read and the conversation, that they could jeopardize both ownerships. So I think that we could, start that.
So the selectmen still want to recommend putting in another $15,000 for this year?
Yep.
Selectmen recommend the $35,000 adding to the highway equipment fund.
Yep. Should we be motioning these officially to put these in the warrant?
We motion them all at the end,
You can, yeah,
to accept all of them.
that'll probably
Okay,
be fine.
probably won't, okay,
All right,
we probably will do all of them anyway.
last year's amount that was appropriated in the roads, streets, bridge reconstruction or repair capital reserve fund was $60,000.
Wow.
Dennis had requested $100,000. I heard yesterday the number $65,000. I
Right.
just need to know what number the board
When we
wants.
had the discussion with Dennis, he had set up his whole paperwork on 65,000 a year.
Okay, so that is the number.
That's not going to get a unanimous vote. He's got almost $300,000 in there. If you look at his project list, the total cost for next year and the year, for 2013 and 2014, spends about two-thirds of this. I haven't had time to sit down and look at his budgeted cost for the road projects.
If we don't stop
To
putting,
see if we stop this year, how it's going to affect us for, say, 2016 or 2017 or 2018, what we'd have to put in next year to make up the difference.
Well, 2016, that's when the park goes away, right?
Yep.
So if we have to do a major project,
well, we still have, and we still have the question whether or not we want to bond a number of roads in starting in 2015, 16, right? Because we have enough money to carry us
right, so why
through
even put it in there?
2015,
There's enough money there to do, from what I saw, the 2013
up to 2015.
and 2014 projects. There's enough money right now. And next year, we could, if we needed to, we could put some in as well.
Yeah, but then you're letting the amount deplete to where you never know.
You're going to be forced to
Oh,
do
this is
something.
state aid roads.
You're going to be forced to do something and not being proactive. Is that
Right.
really the way that you want to go?
Well, like I said, I don't know if
Right.
if we're going to be forced to, because I haven't had an opportunity, not having had all the information until today. I
Oh, did
haven't-
you get your packet?
I got my packet.
Excellent.
Didn't have to pull fingernails to get it. But not having all that information, I haven't had time, I don't know if anybody else did, to go through and look and see how much money we'd be short if we skipped this year.
Oh, so not appropriate anything this year?
Yeah. Or maybe half the amount. We have until what, we can decide next week? That's my suggestion, is that we take a real good look at that. Because we've raised $300,000, and 2013's project is what, 88,000?
How much did we spend
100,000?
in this past year on that?
I don't know.
Because he's talking about spending $120-some-odd thousand or whatever next year, this coming year. I'm just curious as to what he actually spent this year.
And in 2014, I know that.
I know he did some paving this year.
So, but I think these are questions that we need to have, or at least I have to have answers to.
Well, I
If
guess
we
the
wait
only
till
thing-
next, yeah, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to add is, I mean, it's one thing to wait till next week, but in my mind, it's still important to stay proactive because you never know, like last night's rains that we had, you never know when something could get completely washed out and require, funds to fix, and in a hurry, not...
But we don't have to bank those funds. That's why we have a reserve fund. That's why we have to keep that percentage. Those are for the unexpected emergencies. This fund is for known maintenance repairs.
Right,
We
and
know we
he
need to do
has
that.
his list.
But not for unexpected. I as a selectman have not had time to sit down and study the correct figures.
The only
Not having page 2 blew everything I had right out of the water.
The only problem with that is that they have to be done by February 5th. We have to have a figure in there. We're not meeting before February 5th. And
Well,
here's our
just-
warrant art.
Just put a figure in there and we can change it.
Okay. So would you like me to put the figure of 65 or 60? That was what we appropriated last year.
I think the 65, and we can,
We can change it.
Yeah.
next Thursday, we'll make a decision. Catherine will have time, we'll make a decision and we can amend it.
Works.
I opened my big mouth.
All right, and then,
Yes, you
and at the meeting yesterday, you should have received the updated trustee of trust funds report from Tim, and then you're all set, everybody got their copies of the highway CIP? Yep. Evaluation. I had an opportunity to look at our contract. Normally, each year, we appropriate $38,568. Well, that's what our contract is with Avatar. Of that, $23,400 is just the regular monthly contract assessing, and then $15,168 is the data verification. So come 2014, we would be budgeting, again, the $23,400 for contract assessing, and then the actual update is $68,500. So it's a total of, for 2014, would be $91,900. Now, if we put the, well, that's much
So
less than...
splitting it?
That's less than what we paid Vision.
Yeah, it's still $91,000. Now, that's including the $17,000 appropriation from this year?
No, what I'm saying is that we have, for 2012, we had 32,958. We're going to put in 17,000
Yeah.
from 13, that brings us to 52,958. You subtract the 68,5, that leaves you, no, we're going to withdraw, what I would suggest would be withdrawing 50,000 from the
I was gonna say,
capital
you can't
reserve
do
fund,
that.
because you want to leave some money in there. And then we would just raise the additional money right in our operating budget.
I like that.
So it's 91,100 to use?
91,900.
900.
For the warrant article?
No, we don't, no.
No,
For
that's
this,
gonna,
no.
our cost.
I'm sorry, what I'm suggesting is we keep with our 17,000 like we've
Okay.
been doing.
Okay.
Right.
So come 2014, we'll withdraw 50,000 to offset that 68,500
From the,
just raise
from
and
the
appropriate.
capital reserve?
from the
And
capital
just raise and
reserve.
appropriate
Okay.
the balance.
Well, no, we'll appropriate, we'll have to appropriate the whole amount.
In 2014, how much will we
But-
have in our capital reserve?
In 2014, we will have 52,000, call it 53,000.
Okay, so then we would have to raise and appropriate 41,000. So why can't we split the difference on the 17,000 this year and incorporate both of them and go 20,000, 20,000, and then we will be equal in 2014
You can do that
on our warrant article?
on this warrant article.
Right.
Right now, we're just putting the money away.
So we'll change 17 to 20.
So if
Why
we
did
change...
why did we put on $17,000 all this time if it wasn't going to work out right at the end?
Well, it does, because...
And provided we come up with an extra $41,000, yeah.
Yeah, but see, we normally appropriate 38,000 every year.
Right.
So...
And this year we decided on 17?
No.
No, I'm talking for our assessing. For
Oh,
our
I-
assessing, we normally spend, I don't want to change, I want to keep going with, roughly $40,000 every year we spend in our operating budget for assessing. Okay, 2014, we're going to plug in our 40,000 like we normally do. Add the difference of the 68.5.
For the data verification.
Well, it's not data verification at that point. Now it's the update. And then we just pull our 50,000 out of the capital
Capital
reserve.
reserve. But there won't be quite enough in 2014 the 50,000 won't be quite enough to cover that.
True, but we won't have the regular 15,000 that we budget every year for data verification, because that's going into the update. See, we can get around
Okay, so
by...
you're saying appropriate the difference that year of 2014.
Yes, just in the
which will be
operating
less
budget.
than what we're used to appropriating for that
Yes,
data verification. Okay,
because we have a $40,000 appropriation anyway,
right.
whether we do an update or not. But we're going to do the update, get the 50,000, plus a little more. I mean, we may, if interest is good, maybe you can get more. I just wanted to leave a little bit in that fund, because every year, that's what we do. We build up over 4 years.
So maybe
The
we
next
should go with
one.
20,000 then.
But
We should go with the 20,000.
No wonder Lauren's always smiling when I see her.
well, no, for
At these
them,
prices.
no, this is good because we're locked into a price, which is the same price that she's given us ever since she's been giving us 4-year contracts. Now, we only sign a contract for each year.
But if you look at it in the 20, if we realistically, 20,000, at the end of the 4th year, when we
Yep.
we would be even.
Yep.
We won't be behind $3,000 or $4,000,
Right,
Do
correct?
20,000.
correct.
Makes
Yes, so
sense.
if you do the 20,000 every year,
Right.
that means each year we'd be appropriating a little over 58,000 every year. 38,000 for the regular stuff, plus 20 in savings to be
Right.
pulled later.
And then it's costing us $91,000 for the update.
No, total.
Total.
Total, 91,900.
Okay.
Yep. So what I'm looking for is just consistency, so you don't see any big spikes.
Right.
So what is it, you say total for the update, what is it costing us just for the update, not in our assessing?
Just for the update is 68,500.
So 68. So if we, in the capital reserve, 17,000, that really would do it.
Really, we can still leave it there, we just have to appropriate a little bit more when we need it. I mean,
Right.
if we leave it at 17.
Right, because we wouldn't be putting in another 17 at that point.
Right.
You're actually short 7,000.
Go with the 20.
Right, so if we went with the 20, even if we went with 18, no, it would have to be 19. If we went with 19, we would come, but if then they raise their prices by
Oh,
a
they-
percent, we're up.
No, we've signed.
I know, that's for 2014.
Right,
but I'm
but in the
talking in the
future,
future,
correct.
if they raise. I think we should go with the 20.
20.
I think we should go with the 20 this year
This year,
and next
okay.
year. That will make up the $7,000 difference in the two for the 68,000. And then going forward, each year, we're being proactive in that we will have enough appropriated each year in the reserve to do our update each year. And that way, we don't have to raise and appropriate the 4th year an extra or monies. Because if you take it out of that money that on the 4th year, we raise and appropriate monies for the data verification,
That's right.
and you say, well, in the 4th year, we don't use that. If something comes up, then you don't have that.
Right.
Right.
The only thing that would greatly increase our contract price, other than them increasing the rates, which she hasn't, I mean, they've been steady since we've had them, is it goes by parcel count. So let's say we had a big
Right.
subdivision or whatever, because
Right.
they charge per parcel.
Right.
Everybody in agreement with the 20?
Yeah. Everybody okay with that?
Fine, great idea.
Yes.
not to go backwards, but this is going backwards. Do we know how much of the highway budget was unspent this year for 2012? That went into the unreserved fund?
You have your budget handy?
I
He's still paying some.
I know he is, but
things, yeah, it would show you.
usually there's a projection. I don't have a budget. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, we do, we got it in here.
I did bring it over.
We got them in here, in the drives.
Didn't I? No, I didn't. I didn't keep bringing it over. It's still sitting.
So,
It occurred to me that we could write a warrant
Year-to-date?
article
would it be in our
to
year-to-date?
have those unexpended monies that have already
December.
been raised and appropriated go automatically into the capital reserve account instead of into our unreserved fund balance, which we really don't need any more money in.
Your December report, do you have that? This is December, yep. I have a tablet now myself, so I know how to do it.
Do it. The selectmen not using the ones downstairs, you should be utilizing one of those.
Where is the front page? Does he give you a summary sheet on this?
It's usually towards the back, isn't it?
Page
You know,
172?
it's not something we need to know tonight, because we would be
Well,
raising
when I go-
appropriating money, it would be for next
Yeah,
year.
when I go back over
Yeah.
there, I can look it up.
We can do it we can talk about it next week.
December 31st, you had $105,818 left in the Public Works budget
We
as
have
of
the truck
December
out of there,
31st.
right.
So the 35?
So it's 35 out of that was the truck, and I thought Tim said there was going to end up being like 48 or 49 out of total.
Yeah, because he still has other
So,
bills being paid.
Basically
If it
50
was
grand.
$40,000, we'd only have to raise and appropriate at 20 instead of 60,
In his total budget.
if we could have rolled that over into a reserve fund instead of into the unreserved fund, which it really isn't needed. We really don't need any more money in that. We're going to put more money in it because we
I see what
underspend
you're
our
saying,
budget. You see what I'm
because
saying?
we've already raised that money.
Taxpayers have already
They've
forked
already
it over.
paid it, so might as well go into a capital reserve fund so that.
And making them fork over it again.
That's what the school district does with all of their capital reserves. It's always funded with unreserved fund balance.
Well, they can't hold an unreserved fund balance.
True.
So in their instance, it's very smart to have those reserve accounts.
Yeah, how are they going to give it back?
Right. Not the same way. They're not going to be able to give it back the same way it was paid in.
Right.
So I'm just saying, if we wrote an article like that, we wouldn't be hitting the taxpayers up twice. It's a way of raising less.
Well, you're going to get it either way, either through the operating budget or through putting it in capital reserve. They're still going to, we're not going to raise
They've already,
any more
look at
or any
this year.
less.
This year, okay? If he underspent it, we had $50,000 left over. And that the taxpayers have raised and appropriated, it came right out of their pockets. That goes into his reserve fund. Now we're sitting here talking about how much to raise and appropriate for this year. We got 50,000. We're not going to raise 60,000, we're only going to raise 10.
Right, but you still need to keep a certain percentage to remain financially healthy.
Right.
And hopefully someday there's going to be enough there that you can return it to reduce more of the tax rate.
Oh, the unreserved fund balance? Yes, but that is going to continue to grow because the rest of the budget will supply that. I'm just saying we have reached a point where we're good. We're good. DRA's happy with it, so everything else is gravy.
I'd rather not raise money from the residents through taxation that, quite frankly, we don't need, and we're going to earn 2% on. If we end up with $50,000 every year in public works, we need to look at the public works budget. I know we could have a catastrophe, but we have $800,000 for
But
that.
for
that's
2
a
years in a row,
variable.
we really haven't had any snow.
I
Right.
understand that, but we don't buy $50,000 worth of salt every year, do we?
No,
Right
but we
a
have overtime, gasoline.
Yeah.
There's a lot of costs that come with snow.
Right.
So, who knows? I can't predict how much snowfall. I was hoping we'd have a lot this year. We could have a killer winter, 2013,
We're not going to be buying
14.
trucks out of that money every year either.
No.
I mean, we were $100,000 to the good. That's a lot of snow plowing. It's a
But
lot
you
of
have,
salt.
it is, but you have to realize, you never know. We had a year not too long ago to where at the
Right.
end of the year, he was hunting to where he was going to get any money to take care of any new
You could have a
snowfalls.
year
That's
where
what
you
I'd
only-
rather have him do instead of sitting on 50 grand of taxpayer money.
He has a
You have to-
basic budget, and
you
the
have-
snow
yes.
dictates the rest.
You have to budget for at least an average snowfall.
Right.
All I'm saying is, if you have that, these types of years when we have less snowfall, throw it in there. You may have a year when you've only got $1,000 left over.
Yep.
We're a success.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of snow.
But he has to plan on it.
We could
He
have to plan
can't
on
not plan on it.
That money out of the unreserved fund balance, can we?
I don't know.
Well, you don't want to budget that
No.
way.
You don't
I
wanna-
think we have
No,
to
but
keep
we
in
don't
mind
wanna
that we
budget
want to make
50
sure
grand,
that
over
we
every year
you can have something there to help reduce the tax rate. That's what's fair to the taxpayers, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, but we do. It's going to grow. If we just take the highway budget out of it, it's going to grow. Just a thought.
All right.
All right, so
Next.
the 1,500 for lake improvement, we're good with that. Joe, we'll have to wait till Joe comes back to talk about the recycling. I finally had an opportunity to work with the spreadsheet that they've been using, because I had doubts in my own mind that they really were going to be able to collect enough in bag revenue to pay that collection contract of $87,000. So I wrote this with the full $87,000, which would go into the revolving fund. So that would be it. You would never have to appropriate any more money. But I was trying to look at a way to perhaps not appropriate the full 87, because come June, they will be having bag revenue in there.
I thought we weren't going to appropriate the whole amount. I thought we were only going to appropriate half a year's worth.
Well, it
I mean,
was
is it gonna
unclear.
cost them
It was half a year, it was going to be 10 months, was it going to be the full year? I
But-
need the board to make a decision.
Is it going to cost us $87,000 for them to do the roadside pickup of recyclables in 2013 if they're only doing it from June to December?
Right, but their contract year is from June to, it's a 12-month contract.
Right.
So it
June to
continues
June.
into 2014
So their contract for this will be from June.
to May.
June.
Right.
Right, and then it increases.
So next year, we would be looking at appropriating less,
We wouldn't be appropriating anything.
well, theoretically. Because the other side of it is if everybody decided to be great recyclers,
Oh, we wouldn't sell as many bags.
wouldn't sell as many bags.
We wouldn't pay as high a tipping fee, though, either.
Right, our tipping fee would go down.
You know?
Which
Then
is-
if people
is-
are bringing
which is-
stuff to Best Way, I mean, you know, this is based on a lot of what-ifs.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable for me. I'm not a gambler.
Well, of all the communities, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, that have gone to recycling, curbside recycling, or pay per bag, no one has changed back.
No.
I just read an article in the paper where Meredith are very happy.
Laconia just decided they weren't going to do it.
Did they?
And they pay like over $1 million a year
Okay.
for their sanitation.
Yep.
But they decided, no, they weren't going to do that. Why, I don't know.
So I
No political
I
will.
sent you an email that I did a very conservative estimate of how much would be diverted and how many bags were going to be sold, and I felt comfortable with that estimate that there would be sufficient money in that revolving fund to pay at least pay the collection contract. And if it ever happened that the numbers didn't work, then we just have to figure something else out.
Well, this also isn't based on any of the recycling money coming to us, right?
What's that?
This 87.
That's the amount of the contract for...
Right, but the pay-as-you...
That's right.
It's based on the pay-as-you-throw, the bags paying for it, not on any of the recycling monies that may come to us.
Correct, there was no
No,
provision.
not on any of the money we might get we're not counting on selling recyclables.
Right.
But we are counting on the recyclable tonnage doesn't pay the tipping fee. So there's a reduction in our cost on that particular line. As we recycle more, ultimately, and that's kind of why I didn't really want to enter into a 3-year with Best Way, because the amount of energy they'll have to expend to collect less garbage, they'll still collect the same amount of money.
True, but we're going to be having a new MSW collection contract with them come
Not for-
2014.
Not for, we went with 3 years, did we not? At the last.
Oh, you're right, we did.
And I didn't want to.
2 years at the same rate, and then that we won't see the increase
Not that
until
it was a
2015.
bad contract
Yep.
necessarily, but if indeed we did get pay-as-you-throw, if there's less MSW, they have less trips to Pennacook and less hours picking the stuff up, and so they get paid the same, even though they're picking up less,
They get more profit.
Yeah, it's more profit for them. But be that as it may, that may be offset in the future by the collection of recyclables going up because they're collecting more and more.
We'll still get our metal money, Catherine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we collect that.
Right.
So what's the bottom line? We putting 87,000
That's
in
the
there?
bottom
Yeah.
line. What do you want?
I recommend $87,000. The recycle committee recommends the $87,000. That way we're covered for the first year. The first year, it's going to cost us money. In subsequent years, that cost should go down and the recyclable collection should be nullified. People who dump the garbage, pay for the garbage.
Okay. The next one is the energy lighting bulb improvements, and you should have all received in your folders a copy of the energy audit that was done. And Catherine, you were going to check with J.P. Carter. Are those numbers still valid?
I talked to him, he was going to make sure that the refund from PSNH, that those monies were still there. He was going to check on, I forget the woman's name, that's involved with the company to make sure that, so he's going to check.
Okay.
He has not gotten back to me.
Okay, and
I
this,
will call him
I
Monday.
haven't looked, but this number is in here.
That number is, this is a rounded up estimate.
Okay. All right, the next one is, you said you were getting estimates, but if you wanted to read how I have that worded so far, is there anything you want to change?
No, you mean for the
The snow storage.
snow storage? No, Dennis is meeting with a contractor tomorrow or Monday, so we'll have that figure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
what's
if
up?
it isn't that much, was there room in his budget that you could do it? In your
Could be.
highway budget?
Could be. I would
Can,
leave it here, just in case. It's always better
But I think we should leave it
to have
there,
it in and take it out later.
and then I think, depending on the consensus of the selectmen, we should just authorize Joyce to put the figure in there when Catherine gets the figure from
Yep.
Monday or Tuesday. Is that okay with you, Joe?
Works.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, I have a typo there. I have state, it's stage. And you're going to give me a firmer estimate. That was the number that came through last week.
That's, again, that's a rounded up estimate, because you never know what they're going to find.
And are you okay with that wording?
Are you
Yeah.
okay with that number if we added some outlets? Is that going to cost much more?
Well, I'm going to ask him that when I talk
There's
to
a
him.
misprint in here,
Yes, I said, I have a
Stage.
typo. It says state, needs to be stage.
They're going to get me an estimate for the ingress and egress.
So that's added to that.
Yeah.
We
And
should just make it 15.
What kind of total are we looking at? Ballpark?
I couldn't even guess. But I'm
Probably
suspect by the
15.
time you put outlets, you're going to look at least 14 and a half, maybe 15.
well, what I was going to ask is that if we could take our sidewalk repairs and have that come out of Dennis's budget.
It should, because I think it's
That
going to be...
frees up money that our annual appropriation to do our projects here within the building. So I'd like, and, that's, what did I say, 20, we have 20,000 to do our project. So I know I could get partitions here I didn't get a chance to make those calls today, but
I think next Thursday we need to look at that, because some of these monies, like, one that's not in here is the estimate to do the town clerk's area with glass.
The glass.
But I think, what is that, $2,200?
yeah, that
I mean,
could fall,
we can
that
do
could fall in
in-house.
our town hall budget.
don't have to do it here.
We just
I can go
prioritize.
with the building maintenance.
Right.
Right.
How high up is the glass, are you?
Sidewalk should come out, he's got close to $300,000.
All the way.
I don't know, he's coming tomorrow.
All the way? What about air circulation?
I don't know how far up it is. Cindy talked to him, I wasn't here the day
Oh, okay.
they came. I have them coming tomorrow, because, like I said earlier, I just wasn't happy. When I looked at the conceptual, I was like, that's not what's downstairs.
Right.
But, the bottom line is, once we get after town meeting, whatever is approved, we're going to have to sit down and write RFPs to get
Yes.
estimates for all of these projects anyway.
Right.
So the price could go up a little bit conceivably, or down a little bit from what we've got.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last is, now you had mentioned last week about some health officer ordinances.
Well, one of them, I'll have to check on the second one. One of them can be adopted by the governing body, which I think it should be, before it goes to town meeting. That way we can tweak it, put it in place, use it, and see if we need to change it before we ultimately have town meeting vote on it, to give it that extra
So
authority.
you're talking 2014.
Right.
Okay,
This governing body can adopt it.
okay.
One of them.
The other one I have to check with the local government center. Conversations I've had about it is, it's a little convoluted, because in one area it requires that 2 members of the Board of Health be on the committee they want you to form. And RSA, I think it's 121, says that the Board of Selectmen is the Board of Health.
Right.
And then the next sentence it says, but it can't be any elected officials.
Okay, I know what you're
Yeah. So I'm like, come on. Come on.
And I'm going to get the zoning list from you. But that doesn't have to go to the budget committee, just
Right.
everything down. So I think we're in good shape.
I hope to send those to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, Mike Hazard asked about the impact fees, what the planning board had decided.
I will have an answer from the board Monday. We have a...
You want to vote on accepting these?
I do.
Did we change the one for, are we going to leave article number whatever, the last one on page 3? Are we changing that amount? Or
Why do we don't need to vote on these,
We're going to
because
get
they're a
a
work in
figure.
progress.
We're going to get a figure on the second one from the last. We're getting a figure.
Right.
And we're going to plug that figure in.
Okay.
Consensus is that we'll allow Joyce to plug that figure in.
Okay.
The last one, adding the outlets here and the ingress egress over there may change this figure
Right. Okay.
slightly.
Yep.
And you'll know shortly, right?
Yes, I'm going to call them Monday if I haven't heard from them. So, actually, I can call them tomorrow, ask them where they are with it. I mean, we can vote next week, once we have the hard figures and we have more information, whether we approve, support, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we have to have it to the budget committee before our meeting.
Right, well, go, I mean,
Well,
we
we
just
got
went through
numbers
it.
in there, yeah.
Here's where we are so far.
Yep, okay.
Our minutes reflect our decisions on it, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only other thing, I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I'd had a conversation with Billy Lawrence that the Main Street program is looking to make a gift to the town to be held in trust. And I said, well, give me the information as soon as you can. In the meantime, I checked with DRA, and the selectmen already have been given the
The
authority
authority to do that.
to do that. So
Right.
he wouldn't need a warrant article for that, but they'd have to have that written up exactly what they want done, and then the selectmen would,
To do it in trust?
yes.
Is there a specific
He
part?
didn't say.
He didn't
They
say.
have specific ideas of what they want.
They do,
to
and that's what they're
use
working on.
for. And I hope it's not a riverfront walking path behind the stores,
Well, I think it's going to be the
or the roundabout.
riverfront in front of Tilton House there, where they wanted that cleanup thing.
Do what?
I bet that's where it's going to be.
We'll see.
In front, where the sewer.
But I hope it's something that's
It's not
feasible and
close.
doable.
But since I last mentioned this, I did find out from Shelley that you don't need a warrant article, so I can call and tell them, no, we don't need a warrant article, you just need to bring your proposal and your documents to the selectmen. Okay, gotta talk fast here. This warrant articles are done. Okay, return of contributions. This will go quickly. Okay, if you turn to the second page, as you recall, the local government center, there was a ruling that they had to change how their formula on what they hold for reserves for their health trust programs, and they also had to return some of their unreserved surplus to the risk pool members. On the second page, you'll see the amount that's are going to be returned to Tilton. These are our numbers. The credit, they were going to do it as a contribution holiday, which meant that they were going to reduce our monthly bill for our health insurance in December of 2012. And what that amount is that's Tilton's percentage of all of the premiums that had been paid in 2011. Okay, that's our percentage. How they arrived at that number, I don't know, but that's our percentage. We're going to get another payment in August. And then in August, we're going to get all of the dental. Now, they did go ahead and give us the return of contribution in our December 2012 invoice. We didn't see it in our invoice, or we don't see it in our invoice, because we always pay our monthly invoice after they've already sent the next invoice. So it didn't really show up. So when I met with Scott DeRoche today, he had their finance department send me a printout so that you can actually see that we actually did receive the credit. So what we're proposing, and what most communities have done, is that any employee, as of December 2012, that they would get their prorated share of that contribution holiday returned to them. So just to give you a rough estimate, because I don't have those numbers calculated, if you look at the table towards the bottom, okay, they did break it down by the group return. If you just look at the Tilton non-union, we know that the town's portion is 90% and the employee portion is 10%. So I'd have to take 10% of that number, and then we would be cutting checks.
Out of the 10%.
Out of just the 10%. Now, you look at the elected officials, though, those that are enrolled, they would get 100% because the town doesn't pay anything. And then the retirement system, what they did with that is they did physically give me a check for the people that enrolled in the retirement system. So, and they're going to send me the information on how much their contribution, how much they pay, so then that will be divvied up
Amongst them.
amongst them.
Does the town pay a portion of the retirement?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, we do not.
So the only one that we would be taking a portion of would be the union and non-union.
And non-union, correct. So you will see a reduction in the town's share of the payment, monthly payment, because we're paying less, and then the employees that were enrolled as of December 2012 would receive whatever the amount is for what their share of that return is.
They'll be thrilled.
Okay, and we'll do that again in August.
So the next thing we're going to see is what those percentages actually are.
Oh, yes, you'll see a whole spreadsheet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then the same thing in December.
Well, that's good.
And Tim and I have talked about this with Scott, and we were both in agreement that that's what we're presenting.
When do you propose to see that for the employees? When do they, did you mention to them at the staff meeting that
No,
was
I have
coming?
not said a word until I
think when we have money in hand.
Well, they've got the money in hand now, right?
Not all of it.
No,
You've only got part of it. The 1.7, right?
the 1.7. Well, I haven't paid Health Trust for 2 months.
That's right.
No, but you have the December one, correct? So would
Yes,
they
we
be
did receive- yeah, we
receiving
did-
some of that December or no?
Yes, we'll appear that, you will see that when I pay the January and February invoice.
Okay.
Because I'm paying less.
Got it.
And they did say that now that they have new board members, because they had to, each one of their risk pools has to have a separate board of directors now. So they're in a state of flux right now with their rules. When this ruling first came out, they just sent a letter saying, this is your share, you figure out what you want to do with it. And since then, they've had a time to develop a proper procedure and be a little more helpful. Okay, just quickly on the pipes at the senior center froze the other day, so I got in touch with Pat, and I was able to get a plumber to go down there. He it was just the cold water, and it was the cold water in the utility room, one bathroom, and the kitchen,
Why did it freeze?
because the crawl space underneath is not insulated.
So there's no heat tape on it?
No. So I checked, after talking with Al, I called Tim Joubert at the fire department, and he said that since it is a public place of assembly, he strongly recommended that we have a hardwired baseboard unit, not use heat tapes. So I called the electric company that you had recommended, and he's going to swing in, hopefully today, if not by the first part of next week. I said, I just need an estimate of what that would cost to have that installed. And in the meantime,
So that would just be in
in the crawl space.
the crawl space?
Heat tape.
But don't we need to close it off so that the heat will
see
stay
that,
under
can you?
there?
There's a trap door. Oh, you mean to insulate
Heat tapes have
underneath?
vastly improved.
Tom, is underneath the mechanical room, is that insulated?
Yeah, the floor's insulated the whole thing.
Yeah, it is insulated.
The floor is insulated?
It's never frozen before. 18, 20, 22 degrees, 17 degrees, has it frozen. But all the wood and that cold stack we had, but, and the equipment room wasn't frozen. Because the handicap bathroom was working, which means that it was small today. But
So which is more cost-effective, is insulating the small area kitchen bathrooms or trying to heat the crawl space?
Well, the crawl
Heating the
space
crawl
would only
space
be,
without insulating it is silly.
he just said it's insulated, but
it's like block walls and the wood and the dirt floor.
it would only be in extreme cold, and you'd set a thermostat
Is
on
that
it,
right?
and then you don't have to worry about it.
So how would the radiator work in that small space? I mean, if it's a dirt floor and
Yeah.
I don't know, he would
unless
have
you
to-
used a
Electric tape.
heat tape to get
Heat tape.
Yeah, it makes no
around the...
sense. You're not going to heat up that space. And it obviously froze because of wind so much,
Heat tape,
not just because it got cold.
that's what I'm saying.
You properly installed heat tape.
Crawl space, as you know, you may or may not, the crawl space is 2 feet at the most.
Yeah,
Right.
properly installed heat
2
tape
feet, but...
with insulation over it, taped up.
Yeah. It'll keep your pipes warm.
I don't like the whole, lot more chances with that than a heater underneath. out
I
there.
don't like the idea of a heater.
Seems like a spendy option. But the fire department strongly suggests no
He
heat
strongly
tape.
recommend, and he said he could give me something in writing. I said, well, let me just present the
Why
information I
is
have.
it, did he say why?
Because it's an assembly.
Because heat tapes have a bad reputation.
I'm not
Maybe
familiar.
we don't want to do heat tape.
I have.
Heat tapes,
If they have a bad, we
so
don't want to
important.
have any issues.
You no
with it.
longer wrap them, you just vertical, and they really work best if you put an insulating thing over them and tape that up. I have them. I have them in my barn, for crying out loud. You know, what's more flammable than a barn full of old barn boards and hay?
So then you just plug them in when you need them and then unplug them when it's not so cold.
Right.
So we could have it so that in the mechanical room you can plug it in, and there's an option to plug it in and when it gets really cold, and
The other thing
unplug
is,
it when it gets above a certain temperature.
you gotta find somebody small enough to crawl into there and install them.
Is there a chance that if we go contrary to the recommendations of the fire safety people, we lose a permit to assemble?
No. The other thing is, too, we could, in the fall, I mean, I take hay bales and put them along my foundation in the fall.
I did that too one year, and I ended up getting insects. I will never do that again.
Oh, I do it every year, and I pick them up in the spring. But you could, it's obviously
From
wind.
the street.
You could
Can't
tar
see it from
paper.
the street. Oh, you mean from the outside? The outside? No, that would not look good
No,
from the
you
street.
could tar paper it, something to keep the wind out.
Yeah.
There are other solutions.
You could put 2.5 inch, 2 or 2.5 inch mold
Foam on
on
the
the
inside.
inside of the block.
Right.
There you go.
Insulate them.
Yeah, the styrofoam is
Insulated floor at that point, but
blue board.
So there's other options that we can look
Yep.
into. Meanwhile, we got it, with frozen pipes, you can't effectively serve meals, and that kind of puts a kibosh to what our whole mission is up there.
Right.
Okay.
that matter is, you get close that coming. That block, just let it sit a little bit overnight and that'll-
Right,
As long as it's running.
Just gotta watch the weather.
right.
So whose responsibility will it be to monitor that? To monitor the other thing that concerned me was it was late in the afternoon, Sarah, out of the goodness of her heart, called and she said, we're having quite a few people coming to the senior center and it needs to be sanded and salted. I went, I wish you'd called me a little earlier.
Who's
But I did
insulted?
reach Dennis, and Dennis did go and do it, so.
Who's insulted?
To have, just figure out, maybe between you, me, and
Nobody.
Sarah, how we
What
can
did she just say?
Well,
do timely notification.
for sanded and salted for
Sand it
the,
and salt.
late in the
I
afternoon. Was
heard
this for
insulted.
Wednesday evening?
Move your hand, Joyce. I can't hear you, dearie. Thank you.
There is a protocol in place to call you so that you can get, if it's icy up there, if seniors come, and she feels that at all, that it's unsafe, she's to call you so that you can get Dennis, the highway up there.
Okay.
That's the number one protocol,
Okay.
which is what you had said to me to begin with.
Yeah.
This
Just tell her
is
not
a
to
call
leave
you.
This was
away.
like at 3:20.
Well, I think waiting in the afternoon for an evening, we should have probably assessed it a little bit earlier, I'm sure. I mean, I totally agree with that.
Just let her know that Dennis leaves at 3:30. That way, if she thinks she's going to need it, let him know before then.
Well, every Wednesday evening, we have an event going on, every single Wednesday evening. So, one of us can check during the day on Wednesdays and just, look it over and assess it, and then just let Dennis know every Wednesday evening that it's being used. And there's a lot of cars, and the place was packed the last night.
So Dennis knows, though, that as part of the regular winter maintenance, he's got to have that plot opened up in the morning and
And
Salt,
with salted and
sand.
sand, correct.
Perhaps a letter from the Board of Selectmen reminding him that that is a priority and it's not low on our list, it's high on our list. Would help.
I would say that would be probably as equal as Town Hall, because we have people that are going in and out of there for regular programs, for health, V&A, everybody.
Okay, and the only other thing, you noticed, the building is gone, Ernie's,
Right.
Excellent.
and
Yes,
all
I
that's
did.
left is a little bit of excavation work
Rubble.
with the concrete and rubble and everything, so hopefully by next week that will be gone, and then we'll go in and make sure everything's secure, and then wait for spring to come. And I did file the first quarterly report,
Saw that.
and there's still one other report. Everything's done electronically now. And there's one other thing that I have to update. It's called Acres, and that's where all of our documents have to be filed online. And so that's going to take a little time. I mean, we're already on it. It's just that I've got to upload all of our documents. That hasn't been done yet, but it's a priority. I really need to get those on. And that's part of our in-kind contribution. So, and that's it for me until the non-public.
Okay.
Chief, do you have anything for us?
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more on the Chestnut High, and are we going to do anything at all this winter about that? Chestnut High Street, Cedar Street.
I don't think it's, you mean the parking issue?
Yeah.
You know,
Plowing, parking.
I've driven up and down those streets. I found one that I thought might not have a driveway.
No, but there's one that it doesn't look like it does, but it's on the other side.
On the other
Well, that's,
side,
yeah.
Also, we have complaints of not plowing the sidewalk. So the sidewalk is not open on Cedar Street at all.
It is now.
Well, today it is,
It certainly
yeah.
is now.
Well, that's something that needs to be brought directly to Dennis's attention, but I don't think we need to do anything different on those streets except to say no parking.
Right.
I mean, they need to follow the same that the rest of the town does. No parking during winter emergencies, and I forget, was it November to April? Was our policy? Because they all have their own
November to
parking.
April.
Yeah,
Right.
they all have their own parking.
Okay, we'll put this on hold. We'll just table this until after town meeting then.
I think we told those people
What
we'd
about
have
speed bumps, or
another meeting.
you wanted to put that in, Dennis put that in the budget, actually, for Cedar Street, so we want to address that prior to... All right, so we'll table it till a couple of weeks, and we'll bring it back up. Did you sign all these? I'll send these down to sign. Tom and Jane, just before you came in, we have a donation for a first aid kit going to the senior center. That'll be ordered tomorrow. Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al.
I just have a couple minutes for the public hearing. Joyce, how are we doing with the letters for the committees, the heads of the departments in committees for the town report? When is that due?
Tomorrow. I would say
87%?
8.
Liability.
Announcement. The original announcement that we had
For the public hearing?
in the paper, the small one. Oh, I got it. Yep, it's on the agenda. Okay, time being 6 o'clock, I will open our public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide information on the pending sale of the town-owned land and building located at 61 Business Park Drive, map in lot number R21-7, pursuant to warrant article number 7, amendment 2, adopted by the voters at the 2010 Tilton Town Meeting, authorizing the selectmen to sell the property. The town of Tilton Board of Selectmen announced today that they have entered into an agreement to sell the town-owned building and land located at 61 Business Park Drive to Sea Light USA LLC for the sum of $950,000, which will be partially owner-financed in monthly payments, with a balloon payment due at the end of 5 years. While the town purchased the building and land in 2008 with plans for it to become the new police station, the 2009 town meeting reversed this action, and in 2010, town meeting authorized the Board of Selectmen to sell it if the board's determination it was in the best interest of the town. With no prospect of the property becoming a police station or serving any other municipal purpose, there was no point in holding on to it and carrying the ongoing costs of the building. The building and land was authorized by a vote of town meeting in 2008 prior to the collapse of the real estate market, which also made it difficult to face selling in a soft market. A fact of our current economic environment has been the weakness in the real estate market, as evidenced most recently by the town of Northfield's loss of $74 million of assessed value since their last townwide assessment. The Board of Selectmen has a plan which will begin to alleviate both the direct and indirect cost incurred by both the original purchase in 2008 and the change of course in 2009. Taxpayers will see a reduction of the tax rate attributable to the property due to the revenues we will receive during the period of town financing, as well as returning the property to the tax base. In addition, the town will still retain a parcel of land which was acquired in 2008 in Nickerson Business Park, adjacent to the property being sold. So, in a nutshell, the sales price is $950,000. The down payment is $140,000. The finance portion is $810,000. So they will make 60 months of monthly payments of $3,742. The projected balloon payment at the end of 60 months is $727,908. Again, the buyer is Sea Light USA LLC. Their industry is marine navigation, and it's manufacturing. The tax rate impact on the building right now is 33 cents. In 2013, with the sale of the building, it will equate to 7 cents. In 2013, in 2014, it would be 17 cents. And then going down. I'm going to open it to the public. Do we have any questions? Comments?
What's the interest rate? I mean, is it the same as the town paying?
Yes. Same interest.
And do you have
No, go ahead.
do you have a projection at the end of 5 years with the 720,000 where we'll be as far as the town on the building, or what the payoff will be on the building? Or on the bond, I should say, not the building, but the bond.
On the bond,
683,000.
683,000 is what we will have owed, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the 5 years.
And we're getting a balloon payment of 720,000.
27,000, right?
So it'll be more than enough to pay the,
In 2018.
at the end of the payment period, there'll be enough to pay the bond off.
Right. Right. Mr. Walker?
I know. And I didn't hear everything you said, so if something I say is in conflict to that, you might advise me. I'm James Walker. I live in East Tilton, where I have been for 50 years. I have been in favor of using the town-owned property at 61 Business Drive ever since I heard of it. The building that is there now is far in excess of quality and size, anything the town is going to build, and the price is right because we already own it. This board has announced they want the town to sell it at a loss, I suspect. Before I get on to the benefits of having emergency service there has always been objections from persons unknown. They claim lack of direct access to 3 and 11 as a fatal reason not to go there. Chief Cormier asked both Home Depot and the landowner for access from there to Route 3 and 11, and they both readily granted exactly what he asked for. No more, no less. He did not ask for what we now need. How can we be certain they would refuse us if nobody asked them? Someone should explain benefits to Home Depot to them, and I don't believe anybody has done that. For example, I was in that store some months ago and came upon an elderly man lying on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from the head. There was a store employee with him, and they were waiting for an ambulance to come. And when I left the store in about 6 or 8 minutes, the ambulance had still not come, and I don't know how long they had been waiting already. No business likes to have that happen, and every business would like to have all emergency services right at their back door. Response time 2 or 3 minutes or less. If the fire department is that close, there would be fire insurance savings not only for Home Depot, but for every store nearby, especially Tiger Outlet. I believe both Home Depot and the landowner will be responsive to town needs if asked. They certainly were when Chief Cormier asked them. There are many benefits for Home Depot. A town road from the Home Depot traffic lights and connecting with Business Park Drive would make it possible for Home Depot to draw business from the expanded Nicholson Industrial Park, and all points need north up Route 132 with no necessity to go through any traffic lights. Such a road would go by their west parking lot and would replace or be in addition to the road that goes all the way around from their existing entrance and to the back of the store. Trucks that bring in everything they'll sell would never need to be in front of the store at all. If Tilton Northfield water main is extended along Business Park Drive and then brought down a new road and then connected again at Route 3 and 11, a project Mr. Nicholson has promised to help with, its capacity would be doubled, and possibly Home Depot could get rid of its humongous big water tank, the generator, and whatever else is there required by the sprinkler system. Zero maintenance for Home Depot. The roads behind Tanger Outlet and 99 Restaurant do not presently connect, and I don't know if trucks delivering to get out of that end at all, given the 90-degree turn behind the east end. I don't think it can. There is very little room to turn a large truck in back of Tanger, and I don't know what they do. When there is a lot of snow, it has to get worse. The service road behind Tanger Outlet should be extended back of the 99 Restaurant, next to the road into Home Depot and to Business Park Drive and to the existing traffic light. I believe both Home Depot and Tanger, if asked, would be willing to help financially to make both of their businesses better. in back of Home Depot, trucks would go in one end and out the other. No turning. In back of Tanga, trucks would go in one end and out the other, stopping behind whatever store they needed to do. No turning. The whole area up there would benefit. As for the existing building at 61 Business Park Drive, it is 100 feet by 200 feet. It would house both the police department, the fire department, and whatever else. There's more than enough room. That building is a big building, well-built, and in good shape. It is 19 or 20 feet from the underside of the roof structure to the existing floor. A center portion should be retained full height for fire trucks and police cars. Police cars, pickup trucks, and ambulances could easily fit under an 8-foot high second story. A part of the second floor on the south end should be used for living quarters for ambulance crew, firemen on duty, and so forth. There should be picture windows up there overlooking Route 3, and whatever can be seen from there, there's quite a view down through there. Second floor on the north end could be office space, evidence storage, and whatever else jail cells maybe that the police department needs. If a road is built 800 or 900 feet down to Route 3, there would be no chance anybody seeking help at the police would get trapped on a dead-end road. Even if there were suitable space directly on Route 3 and 11, we should not encumber it with buildings on which we cannot collect taxes. After years of relying on rumors and half-hearted efforts to convince Home Depot, and a poorly thought-out effort to use it for a police department, we need to get on with this. If Northfield doesn't, let them secede from the district and figure out how to make that work. We need to convince Home Depot and the owner of that property, and also Tanga Outlet, that a new road would benefit everyone. Now, I don't think the selectmen should give up on this quite so easily, well, without exploring all possible options and objections. You might want to consider a new life safety committee and make sure every member on it wants to put those services up there. I really think Home Depot would agree to that. And I don't see where you're going to find any other site. There is activity up on Route 3 across from Hampton Inn, and I have a suspicion that something's going to happen up there that's going to make that property out of the question. I don't have any more of my statement, but if you want to ask me questions, feel free.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone have any comment to Jim's?
Yeah. As much as I personally was in favor of a life safety building, I didn't see anywhere like the kind of support in town for doing it. We went through 3 town meetings on this issue, and it was...
I guess I'm going to have to...
Well, let me speak up. No, you don't have to move. We had 3 town meetings on the issue of the police station / life safety building. There wasn't support for it in the town. As much as I personally supported the proposition, the townspeople voted it down every single time. They said that we should sell the building in the best interests of the town. I'm a representative of those very same people regardless of my personal feelings on this issue, and I can't support another life safety committee or anything more to do with Business Park Drive. I think the townspeople have spoken, and unless the townspeople bring this up, I'm not going to try and shove it down on them. I can't.
Where are you going to put these departments?
Quite frankly, the fire department didn't have any interest at all in partnering with Tilton in a life safety building at that particular time. And as far as where we're going to put the police department, your guess is probably better than mine. We need one. We got to have one eventually. But there was no support for 61 Business Park Drive at that time. So how can I support it now and try to force it on people?
The story has always gone around that Home Depot will not consent to a road deal. I don't think that is true. And somebody should ask them. Yes, I know you had 3 town meetings. But if people don't get a straight story, they're not going to approve anything.
Jim, we have a letter from the owner of the property that stated at our last Life Safety Committee meeting that said they would only allow emergency access only, and it would, the only way they would grant us access if it were gated. And that was in a letter from the person that owns the land that sits on Home Depot.
Well, I expect Mr. McPherson will do whatever Home Depot asks for, but I still didn't hear the comment you made with the condition of what they said.
We have that in a letter from, I may have it in my books over there in a Life Safety Committee. It was addressed to Captain Wellington at the time. He's since retired. It was access only in emergency conditions. In all other times, it shall be kept gated and locked.
I only have the letter from Chief Cormier, and that is exactly what Chief Cormier asked for. He didn't ask for anything else.
Well, we spoke with him, the committee, the last Life Safety Committee, and there are some members here that were on the committee. We asked Mr. McPherson specifically for access to that road coming down from 61 Business Park Drive by the large spruce trees, entering into the back parking lot of Home Depot. And he sent back a letter stating he would grant it under these specific conditions, that it be gated and it's emergency use only, never to be paved.
Well, I go back to my point before. He granted what was actually asked for. What else is he going to do?
We asked for access. We didn't ask for only emergency access. That's what I'm trying to say to you, Jim. We asked for access to that. We went above what Chief Cormier had asked, and that's what the answer we got. The answer was, no, I will only grant you emergency access. So you don't have the access that we can. We've spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on Life Safety Committee and plans to build a police station, a Life Safety Committee. On a personal note, I think it would have been great to have a police station up there. As a selectman, the people have spoken. They said no to that. We have to respect their wishes. I think it's prudent for the selectmen to go out and look for another site. I think that at some point we need to have another police station. We just spent thousands of dollars to retrofit this one for emergencies and
Safety issues.
safety issues to do away with liabilities. So it's going to come to a point where it's going to be way overcrowded. So we're going to have to do something in the next few years. Where is going to be a question. So I think you have a valid point. But the townspeople spoke, and they said, sell 61 Business Park Drive. And I think this is a great company to sell it to. They're going to bring jobs to Tilton. We're putting it back onto the tax roll, and we will still continue to go out and look for a police station. We're not giving up.
I go back to the same point. Home Depot get it exactly what they're asked for. What's the harm in asking him for a full-fledged town road?
We asked him for that, Jim. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We asked them for that. They said no. Mr. McPherson said no to Captain Wellington.
Mr. McPherson did.
He owns the property.
I know he owns the property, but he doesn't own Home Depot. Well, he owns the property on about 30 of them.
He doesn't own the property that Home Depot sits on. Home Depot owns that.
I guess we're at a standstill. I've said all I know.
Well, we appreciate your effort, and I understand how you feel. And you even came before the board and you did your presentation, and it had a lot of merit. But, after 3 times tries with people and they keep saying no, it's like they've said no. They don't want the property.
You have some very good points. They were not accepted at town meeting,
Right.
and the townspeople said no. And they said no 3 times, and I think that's enough for us.
But I'm going to give you this anyhow.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Enter into this for record, please. Is there any other comments or concerns on Vince?
You just have a purchase and sales agreement?
Yes, and we're looking for an expectation of the end of February to close. Yep.
What will be the assessed valuation of the property when it's back on the tax roll?
Do we have an idea?
$1,048,000 is what it is currently.
What was it?
$1,048,000.
$1,048,000.
But would that not change once they've developed it?
It will. But right now, that's what the assessed value is. And that's just on the land that the building sits on, not with the other lot?
We did not sell the lot abutting to it, right.
I was just wondering if that was with the other lot or something.
We're hoping to use that for snow storage.
Two separate tax bills.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
That was going to be my next question, about where we were going to go with our snow storage.
Well, we hope,
We're hoping,
To that lot, hopefully.
hopefully, we're looking into estimates to figure out what it's going to cost us to make it into a viable snow storage area. Because we have no snow storage area.
I know you've been using the parking lot there.
Yeah. So, any other questions, or? No? Then I will close the public hearing. Thank you all for coming. Is there any more business that comes before us in the public session? Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
well, it take me 2 minutes.
Okay. We'll take a 2-minute break and we're going into a non-public session.
Yep.
Right.
That way the room gets to clear.
Yeah, I did.
Nice that,
Okay, we're going to start this meeting I'd like to make a motion to enter into non-public session as per RSA 91A:3, consideration and acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, consideration and negotiation of pending claims or litigation, and personnel, A.
Second?
That's the, I included that, yep.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, yes.
I would like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel permanently, as they pertain to legal matters until such time as those matters might be completed, and as they pertain to contract negotiations until the contracts are signed.
Personnel permanently.
I did that first.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, just
We have one more thing before we make a motion. Sandy wants to talk about the letter for, regarding the Baptist Church.
have you seen that?
Nope.
Anyway, read the letter. I know that it's not our property, and we're not going to be the ones, but I think this would be a good way to get, give it to the owner of the property. The burned-out property, the Baptist Church wants to use it for parking,
Yep.
and apparently, from what the letter says, they'll even take down the building,
Yeah, Mal was
Fill
telling
in
me
the
about
cellar
this,
hole.
but I haven't seen the letter.
but,
It's on Church Street.
I mean, it would be
It's
up...
Gagner's house.
Gagner's, yeah.
Yeah, it would be up to Mrs. Garner whether she wanted to do it or not.
Oh, it's already
Yeah,
in
so this is
process.
just an FYI.
It's already in process.
Yeah,
It is?
Oh, yeah.
there's no action for us there.
Oh, okay, so she's already,
Her son is. Her son's already
Okay.
in process.
well, that's great. That way she gets, it won't be any cost to her to have the building taken
Correct.
down, and they get to use it for parking.
Wonderful.
I think most we adjourn.
No, wait a minute, before you do that.
Yeah?
Has anybody spoken with Betty Gagner
I've talked to her.
about this?
Yep.
Okay. I see
talked to
Joe
Kathy
Gagner on his name on here,
several
okey dokey. But my understanding is that Betty actually holds title
So
to
in the
the
interest
house.
of Betty, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, no, he's going forward with what she wants.
Yeah.
She's part of the deal.
My motion still stands to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye, 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 aye.
Sandy had already seconded it.
Yes.
La, 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 la. It's